February 24th, 2015 work session. Please silence or shut off your cell phone. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Charlie, do you know when that Pledge of Allegiance was first written and adopted?
No, I don't.
That's
Additions or deletions at this time?
We have two additions. The VACA grant needs approval and signature for the district attorney's office, and lot line adjustment for school district number 7.
Okay, and Katie, why don't we let you get back to work right away? Come on up, we'll do the VOCA and get that
Do
one
I
out
just
of
come
the way.
here?
Yeah, that's the hot seat.
Okay, I've never done that.
Okay, where's the button for the electric shock?
Oh, yeah, good.
This is for action. This is the VOCA grant is what we use for. This is one that comes in yearly, or is it by?
It's biannually.
Biannually.
And typically we have to reapply every 2 years, but the state has decided to forego that for all counties and just extend the grant for until September of 2015. So in doing so, they are just requesting that the district attorney as well as the commissioners sign the agreement for the extension of funds.
Just for the news media, for the audience, can you explain what this grant does?
Yes, VOCA stands for Victims of Crime Act. It's a federal grant that we receive for our office that funds not only different victims programs that we have in our office, but one full-time and part-time salary as well for our victims witness assistant and our advocate in the department.
Okay, so the dollar amount has changed, is that correct?
Yes.
And you want to tell me how much
There's
difference?
a small increase to the grant. All of the counties received a grant or an increase under the legislature this year. I don't believe that it amounts to a whole lot for Lake County, but like I said, typically we reapply every 2 years and then they allocate the funds to each county based on what the allocation is for those federal funds. And this year they've decided to just extend that grant time period so that the counties are not reapplying until later in the year.
The amount is roughly $300 or something. It's not
Yes.
much.
It's very minor.
But the full amount is $21,442 per year.
Yes.
It's been several years different district attorney, but this, when it came before the commissioners 5 years ago, whatever it was,
Yeah.
the halftime position is totally contingent upon these funds.
We have one other grant in the office, which is the criminal fines and assessment, which is a state grant from the state of Oregon that also funds employees in our department.
So, entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the VACA grant as presented.
I'll second it.
Extension of the grant.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the VOCA intergovernmental grant award agreement. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
There we go. That wasn't too painful at all,
Oh,
was
you're
it?
just terrible at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. All right. I thought Darwin was gonna be here. We're gonna blast through the land sale.
There is the Park and Rec workshop ongoing, started at 9 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Participate now.
Let's jump down here to the lot line adjustment. I had that put on this morning. I thought we'd already made the decision. We'd made the decision, I guess, for the school that we would support for them to go ahead and do all the necessary work. They'll do the lot line adjustment down between the railroad right of way and school district number 7. And after talking with Denise and Dave, realizing that we ought to finalize this, that brought it before us this morning.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
signed already. so.
Yes.
Yeah, I asked Dave
Well,
yesterday.
well,
to have it
if you
approved.
remember right, somebody or some group of people said we can just sign deeds at any time now instead of
Yeah.
doing it before.
There you go.
So,
Did
this
did
is a
you
good
get the,
example
legal counsel?
Yes, council looked at it, said everything was fine. I do have a message in, or an email into him now, I tried to call him, he wasn't in yet, but I have an email into him about if there's a dollar or anything that could be in the transaction of this, because that's what we've done in the past. I haven't heard an answer back yet, so far.
yes, and I guess that was my question to Dave is like when we done our last easement, there was for binding reasons, there was bargain to sell for $1.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bargain to sell, that was an easement.
Yeah. And just for the people that is our audience on the camera, this is, what's the acreage of this point something?
It is,
It's all right there in front of you, sir.
He has it in front of him.
I don't mean I know how to read it.
Anyway, it's just a little parking space that.
.22.
Yeah,
.22.
it's just it's just a section there in front of
Yeah,
town.
it's a place that they traditionally park and need a space to park.
In their buses, they were just, being as they put that fence in there, they just couldn't get their buses situated like they used to.
Yeah.
So that's why they come in here now.
It's a small accommodation.
Yeah.
And there could have been buildings on property. Too, the one building,
Yes, in the backside, years ago when they built that, they, it was probably about 20 feet, they decided they were gonna put buildings and put a fence around it, so.
this is a good thing. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the lot line adjustment as presented with Lake County School District number 7 in Lake County.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the lot line agreement, bargain to sell deed as presented. Note that Dave is working with legal counsel if there has to be any monetary value exchanged. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, Darwin, I know that you have another commitment, so let's see if we can't get you in and out of here. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Just don't know if you have to have a notary. I don't know.
You might just change the chairperson.
I already told her I was good with
Okay.
it. We pretty much went forward, just solidifying what
To
we've
the
done.
formality of the days.
All right.
So Darwin, this is for the order of sale of properties, 2015, the foreclosed properties. Give us a bit of an overview, and if we accept it, we'll have an order for sale to approve. Correct?
Yep, that's correct. So, back in November, those properties that had been delinquent on taxes, the assessor's office, I had finalized the process and have the judgment to the courts made to claim those properties due to tax foreclosure. So, every year about this time, we come before you and present a list of properties that we deem that's in our best interest to sell to the public, get back on the tax rolls. We hold a June auction, as you know, the first Monday in June. It's always, the set time on that is 10 a.m. It's a sheriff sale. So Usually the sheriff opens the meeting and then staff, other staff, myself and Karen Smith will conduct the sale. The properties that I have before you on the summarized attachment A are the properties in which, at least I've felt, because of past decisions made, these are the properties that ought to be offered for sale this year. That you'll see the bottom note on the left-hand side of the page, which says parcels 2015-138, 141, 142, and 144 not being offered at this time. 3 of those are in sage grouse habitat, and then one of those is that property that last time I was before you was the Whipple Smith transfer. So that's been accomplished. So the total valuation, market value on these was $458,918, and at 60% minimum bid at auction, it'd be $275,351. And then there's a $145 recording fee, which gets the title transferred into these folks' name as they purchase these properties. When all these sell, that total is $6,815. You'll remember that if these don't sell at the auction, that 2 weeks later the property will drop from 60% down to 40%. So unfortunately, we probably won't make $275,000, but that's not really what this is about. This is about us taking care of the properties which people have failed to live up to their burden of paying taxes on.
Well, and when you talk that 275, that doesn't go, that distribute out to taxing
Yes,
districts?
that doesn't just go to the general fund, it goes to all the taxing districts in which these properties lie.
Yeah, and so also, we can take our costs for doing this off the top, but
Yes, we do.
the county only gets roughly 25%
Right.
of that. There's about, I believe there's 47 properties, and all these properties are ones that were on the foreclosure list that went through this year. Is there some added ones that we'd already held?
Not at this time. I have a second list that I'm almost ready to give you, and spent a pretty good time last night trying to finalize that list to have it prepared for you today. I have a couple questions on this list. We could easily go down them. I don't think now is probably the right time to do that. You guys will have a meeting in a week, and let's do it then. I think
Let's do that then, and you can get that list to us before the meeting. That way we can review it a little longer.
Yeah, there's about 25 more properties. 1, 2, 4 of them have addresses, so they have a home on them. So, and actually one of those is the one across from the Lakeview Lockers that is a duplex in the house. So that one's on that list. And
Okay, so for before us today is we need to do the order for these, I must say 47 properties. I made this count up, I think that is, but it is for our 2015 regular land sale.
yeah. Is there any of them that you would like to specifically look at?
Any of them within the township of Christmas Valley?
Yeah, about 2/3 of them are. And as I zoom in on these, I apologize, what you're seeing again is in red, all the properties that we have. I've got these listed out on the side here with their dates and the actual numbers. So if I zoom down, or if I scroll down, sorry, on this list, then I can get to 2015. It's even hard for me at this distance to see them, but there would be specifics. And the 2013s and 14 properties that we still have on the for sale list, there's also a number of those properties that are in the Christmas Valley town site. So they're at all 15% right now, or sorry, at 40% right now. So
How about other communities like Plus, Edel, Silver Lake, Paisley, Pine Creek? Are there any within the communities?
I don't believe that there are. That's something else that was in the vacation last time. The one that you're seeing in red here is already our library situation. in Silver Lake, so that's not one. I don't believe that there is, yeah. If there was, I think we'd have a discussion on possibly keeping them. And I think that's where you're going, was possibly even in Christmas Valley on the park situation, so, for options there.
The general test that's coming out of the Parks and Rec community workshop.
I would think that some of them, 3920, those are probably OVL lots.
Yep, yep, they are.
So they would be within the urban growth boundary possibly,
Yeah.
or that.
Probably just outside of it, but yeah.
One of us about the state was, what's being considered in the Park and Rec thing is little community family parks and things like that for consideration.
Right.
But we don't have that in front of us
Yeah.
to decide on that, but just to keep it in mind.
So what I've done is with the 200, I think there's 231 properties that we currently own that we'll need to, do something with and kind of make a final decision on. About 100 of those are currently on the for sale list, and there's 47 more that are on the list today that we're talking about. So, and then there's about 25 more that I'll add. The ones that I haven't added to this potential also auction list is properties such as these showing up in red that are up against the rail.
Which is down in the industrial.
Yeah, near the industrial site. The stuff that's on the west side of the rail is actually all A1 properties.
I need to look at 3920 1680.
Okay, which parcel number that first number?
Parcel number,
15, it'll be that first column, 15.
215 147.
147, so let me get to that. Alright, get it from here.
You think there's gold there?
Fool's gold.
47, so here's 47.
So it has a home on it.
Yeah, that's one, there was a nuisance property, a while back, Rebecca Cowdery had it, and then she did clean it up, and she had always told us that, hey, I'm gonna let go of foreclosure anyways, why am I having to clean this up? And, anyway, she cleaned it up first.
Just zoom in just a little bit.
This aerial shows what was there before.
Okay.
These trailers are gone, that's a horse trailer, and
Yeah, we
there's
did
two
do-
campers. and-
Did do a nuisance cleanup.
Yeah, so that's cleaned up.
So it's on purple.
Yeah, and that's shown up as real property now, that manufactured home. So it will be sold with the property, so it won't become an issue, but,
Okay. I just seen the size of the lot and then seeing the value there. I
yeah,
see
yeah,
that
yeah.
probably-
That truck doesn't go with that, that's how it was, yeah, all this, vehicles in the front are all gone, and it's cleaned up considerably, so. This image is a year and a half old or so.
Okay. Just looking at the numbers.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
assumed it was a resident, potential resident.
Yeah, so I think a couple of these this year might be, so. Oh yeah, there is another one, there's one up in Fort Rock, the one, 107 and 106. There's an 80 acre and a 240 acre parcel. Those are on Picture Road in between, right smack in between Fort Rock and Silver Lake. So,
248.
yeah, you'll look at those two, we can look at those two real quick.
Yeah, that's probably the first time I've ever seen anything that big.
Yeah, that,
Mine's-
exactly, yeah, I was pretty surprised to see those as well.
Who's the neighbors to it? BLM?
BLM, yeah, BLM, I think, completely surrounds. Let's see. USA, yeah, it's right in the middle of BLM, so. This is the 240 down here, and then the 80 here. The 80 is the one that has the home already on it. Here's whatever that is, it's pretty rough. I've seen I don't have the pictures with me from the assessor's office last time they did an appraisal out there, but an assessment.
That's not
Yeah, it's
by
pretty-
chance going in towards
Yes.
Derrick Cave or anything.
No, it's
Yeah,
right,
it's on
right in
picture.
between, there's Picture Road right here in between
Okay.
Fort Rock and Silver Lake.
And you can see
There's
Highway
Silver-
31.
Oh, Fort Rock, yeah.
Back
Okay.
So it's kind of in between Highway 31 here and Picture Rock, it's kind of right in the middle, and there's,
here. Oh, picture lane.
there, yeah, not Picture Rock, but Picture Rock. So, I mean, it's right against the hill, it's a great property, I mean,
Yeah, there's-
whoever picks it up is gonna be pretty happy, I'm assuming, but.
Yeah, that's one that may go pretty high.
Yeah, it's already high, so because of its starting bid of 39,000 and 25,000, it's likely we may see people want to hold contract on those, which, or
Yeah,
they'll purchase it on contract through the county.
Commissioner Chair, is there any possibilities of, since it's kind of isolated out there in BLM management administered lands, do we have any thoughts of possibly holding it for a swap, that we might gain something from the BLM management in return?
It's worth looking into if we had anything in the works. The last swap was the Ski Hill properties, and I'm trying to think if there's any. It's worth, put some thought into it, not
Yeah.
for today, but put some thought. We can pull anything off mine.
Sure,
Right up and.
And it's not going until June, but the nice thing about the order is you make it now, and then you can still pull it until morning up,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, I
And then if it doesn't sell then, you can still pull it later, so.
I was thinking along the line of, if BLM management has some isolated piece out amongst privates, we just a logical swap.
Yeah.
Well, the interest, I mean, we've always got stuff that gets close to abutting, rural communities,
Yeah.
so. It's just a matter of the paperwork and all the.
I see it's got a pivot right close to it, but that would be,
Yeah, so.
Would that still be in
Yeah,
the
these
water
folks.
moratorium?
yeah, there'd be a moratorium.
Mathis, Russell Mathis, I'm not sure. I don't know anything about this gentleman,
So who'd you say owned those, Darrell?
prior to us,
Yeah.
I don't have it on here right now. It was in a family trust, though, I remember. So I'm not sure if they could work it out amongst themselves or how that all went down, but pretty amazing that we got those.
Mhm.
Yeah, landowner preference tags. Something I would think about.
Yeah, but it's got to hold an animal before you want the tag.
Yeah, so that's good. I mean, yeah, this with their property. So that's that.
Is there any other properties you guys want to look at?
Mhm.
So what we need is motion on the order.
I'll make a motion that we accept the order for sale of county properties in matter of properties acquired by Lake County.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the order for sale of county property. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So I will try to get with you as quickly as I can, and we'll get that other list of ones that have really been, kind of outstanding properties that we really need to get off the books. Okay. Being houses that,
If you can get that to me this week,
Yeah.
next week I'm pretty much gone.
Okay.
I'm gone this next week or so.
well, it's ready to review. It's just a matter of, I have just a couple questions about a couple properties that I wasn't exactly sure what they were.
Thank you, we'll let you get to your
Yep,
other.
thank you.
I'll follow up with BLM management, see if there's any price property that might benefit us for a swap.
I think that those are always good things to work on. There's,
If we gain something that's a little more economical to the county. Of course, a swap is very swingy, so that might kill them. They don't charge you for every little survey.
all right, Lieutenant Hobble came and left.
Let's go get the sheriff.
So we're gonna go ahead and do the department update. And then Mr. Charlie get back to serving our veterans. So we have a 3-minute time limit on department updates.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Charlie.
As you know, this is Veteran Services Department update. I'll start off with training. We had excellent training this last fall. We covered VA educational benefits, Gulf War syndrome, e-benefits, which is an online service for veterans, where they can actually do their own claims online. The enhancement part is having us here to help them out do this until they're efficient at it. During this training, we had the National Veterans Legal Services from Washington, D.C. come out and do some training with us and enhance some of the things that are going on that are very technical in the compensation fields, such as traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder, where they both actually work together. Issues related to services at Camp Lejeune, which I'm sure you've heard of the bad waters and how it affects some of the organs and systems for the veterans, and it is a compensation. Dependency indemnity compensations, exceptions to VA's traditional marriage rules. So what that means is that there is, depending on the laws in each state on same-sex marriages, that there is compensations for that, and there can be service connections for both, including pension. Special monthly compensations, that's these special monthly compensations for veterans with disabled, that have disabilities, where they would get additional funding for the spouses to help them instead of getting somebody else to come in and help them. But it can work both ways. The spouses can use those additional monies to have somebody come in and help them out, because it is a tough job just for the spouse to just take care of the veteran 24 hours a day. So that little bit extra time that they need off, 4 hours a day, and whatever it takes for somebody to take care of him, if he's being 24/7 incompetent, then it really is helpful here in the community, especially in a community that doesn't have a lot of services out there, you know, that will help them. CNAs especially. CNAs are huge because they're medically trained for people like this.
For the record, CNA stands for
CNA.
Certified Nurse
Certified Nurse Assistants. We did have some additional training this year. We had, for pension, St. Paul, Minnesota had trainers come out to Salem. I attended this training, absolutely fantastic training. It enhanced our abilities to do pensions here in our county, especially when most of them are over 65, well, 65 and older. It gives them the additional monies to help them survive in the community. Depending on if they're single or married, depends on how much additional monies will come back to them to help them out. Works really good here in this county. I did do a meet and greet at Lebanon's Veterans Home, focusing on the memory care unit. We've had a lot of problems through Lake District Hospital of trying to establish a home or a place for a veteran to go to that has all the memory care facilities, and it's focusing. So at this time, we're waiting for Lebanon to get an accreditation for memory care unit, and we have approximately 4 Lakeview veterans, or Lake County veterans, that have already established paperwork and brought it forward for them to get a placement.
You may recall that the Veterans Home in Lebanon is a new facility, just the past several years. So they're still working to get all their
I don't know if they're called modular facilities, but it has one major kitchen, and all these individual facilities have a smaller kitchen within. For the CNAs, and you have to understand, CNAs basically just go in and they bathe them and change their clothes, just the very basics. Well, my understanding is the state approved for them to also cook the meals, and they come from this major kitchen, and it services all the veterans in the individual community homes. So it's a fantastic facility. I recommend everybody go see it.
So how many people will it hold?
I believe it's 162 total veterans. Yeah, I think it's a great thing for Lake County because I have a lot of people already calling me about it because it's hard to find a home, a veteran's home, especially with the memory care unit like this one. It's fantastic. Okay, last quarterly report. We interviewed 172 veterans. Filed 1010 Easy, which is the VA medical facility forms to get them enrolled into VA medical. And the recoveries were 98,456.78. That number during the month can change. Even though I put this report up, it can actually go up because some compensations or pensions will come in after the fact, after the month. So I report it as is, but it'll always catch up in the next quarter.
So Charlie, how do you capture the online that a veteran is doing separate from you?
Well, you're talking about like e-benefits. When you go onto e-benefits and you enroll in e-benefits, you actually pick the location of your service officer. So that way we capture all the recoveries. And most times they say to contact us, they don't have to, but there'll be beepers going out, red flags or yellow flags saying, hey, this guy needs some assistance, please call him. And it's still fairly new in the system. There's like 2 or 3 different online-based programs where they can pick us out, but there's some that aren't user-friendly. We learned that during our training, and we're not going to use that. We're going to strictly train to user-friendly web-based programs.
Is there anything that triggers that they would have to come in and still do the benefits? When they were going through there, if there's something where that, I would think there'd be certain things that maybe would say this person needs to go see somebody in person to try to help get other benefits that go along with it.
I don't think there's that trigger,
Okay.
but I do believe that something comes back saying this is unfinished. See your local veteran service officer. I have seen that.
Okay.
But without us going out there and showing the public we're here to help them, you know, they're on their own. And we're hoping that they come see us. We've helped so many people working online benefits that have really, truly messed it up. And we've changed their compensations tremendously because of that. Because they're gonna get minimum. If they don't know how to write their claims.
I guess that's where I'm going, Charlie, is I believe in the internet and all these things, but there's some people may be missing out on some of the benefits they deserve if they don't not talking face to face with somebody that knows how to negotiate through all of it.
And that's very true. Yeah, they might think, you know, when they were on active duty that, let's say they had hypertension on active duty. Well, I know he went to the doctor. Well, he knows he's went to the doctor, he's gotten the medications, he can file a claim for that. But what about all the 20 years of service he might have done and all the things that can be service connected? And he's still, you know, receiving medical to this day because of that service connection. Yes, that's what we're out there to help him for. Yeah.
Well, it's new, so I believe that what glitches there are, if there is any, that'll.
I think there'll always be glitches. It's our job to go out there and let them know we're here to help them. Lake County, we're gonna go with fiscal year 2013. The total for Lake County numbers, compensation pension for FY 2013, Lake County's bringing in $4,246,000. $4,246,000. Including health care, we're at $7,024,000. The reason I don't have 2014 is because all the claims haven't been approved to this date. There's still claims that are backdated 6 months. So you can see where I can't get actual numbers until ODVA, Oregon Department of Veteran Affairs, calculates all those numbers for Lake County, and then we can get new numbers for 2014. And on my next update, hopefully we'll have that.
So Charlotte, do you have figures for like 2010 prior to you?
No, because this is a program that came up just not too long ago, so this is the number that they can only give me right now through their program. I can ask and update next time.
Well, I think it will show the growth in the program.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that too.
But also this funds, $4 million for 7, comes into the county and it circulates through the economy. It's an
Right.
economic
Right. It's all
benefit
economic.
in addition to benefiting the veterans.
Absolutely.
themselves.
Absolutely. As you know, we did do the Veterans Extended Outreach Grant, which we were approved for $13,283. And I have all the plans, which went through y'all, and how we were gonna distribute the monies. During reporting period 1, this is from February 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2014. This is the goal. Our goal was to increase the number of power of attorneys. Baseline number was 62. My goal increase was to be to 71. Our outcome was 90. To this day, today's date, we're at 104. So you can see where this grant money has really helped us out bringing veterans in. Our goal number 2 was to increase the number of federal benefits dollars, which our baseline number was $373,991.36. The goal is to increase to $411,390.50. Our outcome was $495,521.37. To this day, today's date, we're at $536,688.29. So you can see where the money has really enhanced Lake County and getting these veterans in that, you know, has benefits coming to them. I cannot give you the number for medical because we won't know that. That's always in January to December.
Well, with that, Charlie, where that was a grant for outreach, surely they realize when their goals are met and surpassed like that, that that's money well invested. Maybe it becomes part of the program instead of a grant to do what is necessary to get the benefits out there.
Right, and that's what they're looking at. During the next meeting, every county that put in the grant is going to be submitting this form just like this, just a general memo stating what we have done. It goes into our director, ODVA director, and then he brings it to legislation saying, hey, this is what we did with these extra monies, let's give these counties some extra monies. And I totally think that's a
Exactly.
fantastic idea.
I don't know your connections, Commissioner Dessner, where you worked on that, but that's great material to use.
Actually, on some bills, I don't have the numbers, but they are actually acknowledging the economic along with the benefit to the veterans.
Yeah, and the veterans getting the benefits they deserve.
Yep.
Yep.
Right.
They can pay their electric bills, water bills, food bills,
Right.
gas, water.
Medical bills, I mean, medical bills are huge. When they come in your office and say, you know what, I finally am debt-free for my medical bills. That's huge for us.
Well, and some of them, it's just they don't get the prescription and food and eating. It
Right.
makes a difference for them.
Well, you know, when they come into your office and they're in tears because they no longer have to use their credit card to buy food at a grocery store, that's huge to me.
Yep.
You know, or they have a vehicle now that they can actually drive to a distant facility to do his heart checks or a surgery. I mean, that's huge. And you know, our van is limited. We have a DAV van. It's limited. I mean, we can't take everybody everywhere, and we do the best we can. But when they can bring their own vehicles in, because they know once we get a service connection, anything over 30%, they get travel pay for. So that helps them in their fuel too. So it helps us in you know, various ways. But yeah, I think Lake County's done excellent in veteran services in
And it's highly acknowledged, recognized, and acknowledged at the state level.
Great.
Are there any questions?
Great update. I asked my questions as we was going through, Charlie. Appreciate it. Appreciate that the services are getting out there to those who deserve it. I know there's some that's being missed just because they haven't come in or whatever, but the outreach is just really good.
Well, I have to thank the commissioners too for supporting us, because that's a huge deal for us. Because without the support, this can be done.
Yep.
I can't even see putting in a grant unless, you know, I have the support from the commissioners. So I thank you all.
I would really like to see at budget time, those other figures, whatever the closest year is for our budget committee and for just general information.
Sure.
To compare those,
Sure.
because that's the investment we've made wisely.
Well, you can actually see, you know, just from the 2013 dollars that I told you and what we've already made, you just add that right there, and that's just a piece of what we've already done. And we still have approximately 50 to 70 compensation pension claims submitted that we haven't even seen yet, the outcome. So you know that there's going to be some more coming out, and we're still not done yet. We have a bunch still left.
And that outreach, the way it can work. If Charlie can connect with one veteran, let's say out in Plush, then that veteran's talk to another veteran's,
Yes.
get him in, and then that one talks to two others, and gets, so it's a ripple effect.
Yep. In a rural area, that really, you're explaining what really happened a lot. That's great.
And you know, we've
Very
done,
good update.
we've done a lot, we've also done a lot with that when it comes to announcements, doing radio announcements. We're gonna be pushing more on radio announcements starting this next month.
Well,
Advertisement, just
your outreach was 13,000, is that what it was?
Only 13,000.
Only 13,000.
I could have used more and it has
Oh,
more, a
well,
lot more.
that's where I was going, Charlie, 13,000 to try to advertise, try to get out on the ground, do some ground pounding to get out there to see the people in a county that's so huge. That's not a whole lot of, from advertisement, travel money, the whole works.
And keeping track of it.
I know, to be in
That's the
compliance
hardest
with
part.
to be in compliance with the grant, you have to, and that's the other thing, it's an added workload on you to be able to leverage that $13,000, so that's taking time to just do the grant.
Right, and I wish I did put in for more, because there was many more things I could have done for Lake County and veterans. But thank you very much. If there's no questions.
Well, definitely appreciate not only your hard work, you put in through more hours than need. You need to take a day off, maybe Sunday.
So, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Very good update.
Yep.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break and see if we can find Lieutenant Hobble and what's going on there. With 11 minutes to 10, we'll come back into session. Next item on the agenda is EMS connection. Sheriff Taylor and Lieutenant Hobble. Come on up, Sheriff. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Have you ever sat in that seat before?
I did one time. I was trying to get authorization to build on the property out there. So it was.
Oh, with the planning commission.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're a lot more intimidating than we are.
I was front and center. I think I had like 5 or 7 people.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but they didn't have the know about that electric charge button.
Well, he's got a 6-month honeymoon period. He just got elected, so we won't.
I thought that was a 6-year.
I think you've already been initiated, haven't you?
I think so.
Yeah. Paul, why don't you give us an overview of where we're at? I think we've talked to most everybody individually a little bit on this.
I think so. I'll try to keep this as short as I can, but keep it as thorough as I can as well. But so we are in the middle of a project that was approved last year through the board and through the budget committee for updating and upgrading the report management system, jail management system, and infield reporting that are functions of the sheriff's office that I believe with these tools will cause a greater ability and a better use of time with the patrol guys. It allows them to operate out in their vehicles as opposed to being in the office for hours and hours and hours and days and days and days. With that, I kind of got thrown into this project midway, so I didn't have a whole lot of dealings with the proposal that was given to the board last year. I wasn't really involved in the information gathering when this was designed and thought through. But I ended up inheriting it, and I'm trying to get up to speed the best I can. So what I learned about a month ago or 3 weeks ago is that the bridge connection between the Lake County Courthouse and EMS building is antiquated, to say the least. My understanding is it's one pair of copper wires that goes from here to dispatch that was probably outdated when it was put in, and no one seems to know how it's even operating now. The sheriff was told immediately when he walked into his office not to move his desk because where it comes in there, it is being held together literally by his desk up against the wall.
That's the 2 copper wires that comes from
Yes.
emergency
That's
management
where the
service.
connection box is.
So there is a immediate need of this that has been researched, and again, I wasn't in the research and development of that portion of the project, but I have tried to talk to the parties that were in that meeting and that had made discussion and comments, and to the best of my knowledge, I believe there was 3 vendors that were approached and discussed what the needs of the project was. I was not present, but my understanding is Actec, Day Wireless, CenturyLink, and Goose Lake Computing with the sheriff and deputy tag were all in this room having a discussion on what the minimums of the project would require, up to and including the maximum that they could possibly provide. And in doing so, basically what occurred, to my understanding, is CenturyLink and Goose Lake Computing are more of a residential grade internet provider. And so they're basically the maximum they could provide is the minimum that the project required. Day Wireless is a more commercial vendor that was able to exceed the minimum requirements. And I don't know if this is the maximum that they could provide or not, but in the backside of this and them communicating with Actec and with EIS, it exceeds tremendously what the minimum level would be. In doing so, they also provided us information that told us what this system capabilities would be of this for future would be expansion and to include up to digital encrypted radio traffic that essentially, right now, we are a backup for dispatch. So if they go down, we have a small antenna here with a backup unit that we supply that. Right now, FCC has mandated that we go narrowband signal, and everyone is projecting that 5 to 7 years down the road, they're going to require that everybody go digital. This connection actually provides, even to date, will consider and obtain and be able to handle any kind of digital signal that's required in the future for dispatch. We did not ask any one of the vendors for that capability, but I think that as it was reviewed by the group of people that were looking at this project, that weighed in on the project itself, that it was something that the group, I don't believe, thought about, that should we look to building something for 10 years from now, or should we look for building something for today? And what Day Wireless provided was something that is going to be beneficial to Lake County in the future. The other thing that the group that looked at this saw was that there's not a reoccurring monthly fee that is associated with this internet connection if we buy our own hardware and provide that connection between dispatch and the courthouse. Essentially, we're buying the airspace that goes between these two microwave links, and it is regulated and licensed through FCC. So it cannot be infringed on or impeded on, or the FCC actually would be the one that came and handed down sanctions, which on a residential grade, there is no regulation of that. CenturyLink nor Goose Lake have the ability to control the amount of traffic that goes through their purchased lines. This would be owned by Lake County. No one else would have the ability or authority to interact within our transition.
Between the sheriff's office here and 911 EMS.
Right, and so that data link would be primarily dedicated 100% to that traffic and that traffic only. There would not be the ability for anyone else to purchase space within our space, which we don't have that control when we're buying and I keep referring, and I don't even know if that's the proper terminology, but a residential grade internet connection. There may be 50 connections and we don't control all 50, we control the one we're paying for. So if those other 49 impinge on our data speed, then it basically would choke ours down to the point where it may or may not work.
Takes up the capacity.
On the other note is, as far as security of data transmission, all CGIS requirements and then some are being met with the Day Wireless solution, where there is a huge question on both the other alternatives of additional features that would have to be added to create the security that is required by CGIS to transmit that data.
So in layman terms, is connecting our system with capacity and security to the 911 and back and forth.
Correct.
And with enough for future, with vision working forward to be able to have the capacity and go digital when the time comes.
Correct.
We've already seen that we went to the narrowband. The next thing is go digital, and this would just set us right on the path to get there.
Correct. And when next generation of 911 comes into effect some years out, we would have the full capacity of whatever that next gen would require of us.
Correct.
So you gave us an overview of what we need. You have the cost of it here.
And I wasn't intentionally trying to combine the two projects because they're different, but without the one, this other one doesn't even matter because we can't, without that connection, this other whole system doesn't even work.
And so that's kind of how this all transpired as far as me to get involved in this, is I didn't know this was an issue or a problem until we were trying to get this other project underway. And midstream, I found out that without this, so that's why I combined the two and said, I know that there was a budget last year of $78,000 for the upgrade for the sheriff's office. And then in addition, the project that Day Wireless is looking at is $23,358.22, and so.
So my question's gonna be, is 23,000, is that it? Will that whole project be ready to go?
It will be complete, however, Sheriff Taylor has been brought somewhat up to speed on the sheriff's office project. There's a couple other components of the system that EIS offers. They weren't looked at when the original project was proposed to the Board of Commissioners. There's a civil function that I believe the sheriff's office would benefit tremendously from. And then there's a citizen complaint platform that would work also, that's a web-based deal. They're very, very minimal cost compared to the overview of this entire project, I think. I don't have the dollars right here in front of me, but I think the civil function or component is $6,000, and I think that the web portal for the citizen complaint is $1,800. Those are one-time costs. Those are not reoccurring.
For benefit of whoever's watching this meeting on the camera, explain the civil function.
Civil would be any restraining orders, subpoenas, any papers that are processed and served through the sheriff's office. Right now, those are tracked through basically programs that we've initiated, created, paper trails that is very labor intensive for Heather to do. And this program manages that from top to bottom. And so I can't answer to why it wasn't looked at, other than maybe to avoid sticker shock when the project was originally proposed. But however, it is something that we feel we could benefit from, and we were planning, or Sheriff Taylor and I were going to put together a presentation to present to, talk to you individually, but present this at budget to potentially fund this for next year. Not include that in this project, but add these functions.
Well, when is this supposed to be up and running if we get this?
We're hung up on this right now, but I've been in contact with EIS, and they are installing this system or systems all over the nation. I mean, they're a huge company. And right now, because we have this, they were set to do this full-on thing the first part of February, and because we had to backtrack, we got set back on the scheduling. Mid-June is the best case scenario that they could be here to do this install if this happened tomorrow.
So with that said, we could almost budget this full amount in next year's budget.
Correct.
Because if they come in mid-June, they won't even have it done until probably
First to mid-July.
Be billed in July.
Wouldn't be billed till July. And so that's actually another consideration is I've paid $24,000, which was what our agreement was in the contract that we initially had with EIS. So there's, I believe, $52,000 or $54,000 that's still in that budget line item that's in the 120 fund for this project that, as you know, will disappear at the end of this budget cycle unless we address that now to carry forward into the next budget cycle.
It'll have to be carried forward. It sounds like, to me, just sitting here, number on some rough numbers, you need about $31,158 to have programs in this part here. And so if there's a 50,000, and if we carry that plus the 31, whatever it is, get the more exact numbers, into July, you'd be able to have the system fully functional, ready to go, be more efficient, amount of time it takes for deputies and staff, be less.
As long as we can get the fiber lines within that time frame.
All right, throw a monkey wrench in.
I know, I just.
Talk to us,
I would
what
just
could be.
hate for fiber line to not be in place when EIS could come finalize that. Because you're dealing with Day Wireless, I don't know what their install timeframe would be.
Well, if we, I guess, I don't know the answer to this, so I'll throw it out there. Is there any reason why I can't utilize the dollars that were set aside for this project to pay for the link right now, and then we readdress the deficiency on the rest of that project into the next budget cycle? And that way we can get this day wireless.
Well, technically you'd be short money unless the Board of Commissioners agreed.
Well, that's what.
We will put it in during budget time.
So if that was.
We can probably get through this today where that you could use that and get going on it, I believe. We just need to sort of have that discussion amongst us here, if this is where we're going to be with the system, and where we need to be. And everything tells me, on the IT side of it, Denise, is there, from ACTEC, is there anything that you see that will add more cost to this, or be a problem, or anything that way?
And actually, this recommendation comes from ACTEC. This was their best feeling on what our best fit would be.
Okay. I have one other question, you probably have several. You would need to make sure with legal counsel, if this is sole source, if we can just go with this. You have 3 quotes, but we want to make sure, if we're talking $23,000, if we approve that today, $23,000, that we do it appropriately through the contract review board rules and all that, and bring legal counsel. Is that where you were going?
Well, Paul and I have talked about this quite a bit.
And actually, just real quick, just maybe I can save you a little bit. I sent some of this stuff to Jim Bailey yesterday. I just haven't got, I was hoping to get something before the meeting this morning, but I haven't got anything back yet.
Well, a question I didn't ask ever, Paul, as you were describing the potential bidders, TNAP wasn't mentioned. And I know you came in late to the project after they had met and all of that, but.
I don't know if we went out and asked people to bid on it. I don't know if this was put in the newspaper to.
There was no RFP, I believe it was just quotes.
Yeah, there were 3 entities that sat in the room here with, I think, Daniel and ACTEC.
ACTEC was available because, as we've learned in the past, some of the things that we've purchased aren't compatible with our system here, and seems how they seem to be the ones that get stuck holding that ball saying, make this work with this. We've sort of started a process of, even though they're a vendor of ours or a contractor of ours, I think it's beneficial to everyone to have them involved in, maybe not per se to make the selection, but at least to say, of the 3 of these, only one of them will work.
Paul, and I'm gonna jump in here and just throw a little bit of a wet blanket on this, even though we need to move forward. We all recognize the need. But I'm fearful of the next project and the decision before us today is to approve probably this line, this connection line. And I want to speak to that just a little bit too, but Denise is our point of contact for our ACTEC contract. And I do believe they have to be involved in everything to spec it out. And this is just one more occasion in my mind, and I wasn't there either, that we didn't think it through completely, because that connecting line between EMS and here should have been first and foremost before we put in equipment. And I'm speaking to the choir, we all know that, but this isn't the first time something like this has happened, and we've got to be able to get good, solid advice from ACTEC as we start to budget for and make these enhancements, because then we're going to be right back to here. Yeah, we did this, but it needs this in addition because this won't work here. So with that said, in the review by Jim Bailey, I can't imagine that day wireless isn't the right one to go with in the future, 10 years out, whatever. Digital capability, et cetera, et cetera. My heartburn with this, and I've said it to you a couple of times, is that we asked for a minimum spec, and then we're talking about a maximum. And we didn't get bids from 2 people on a maximum spec. And they probably can't provide that, but I think that whether it's just for the future reference, we need to clearly state, and some of this came about as Day Wireless put put their bid in and said, you know, no future cost, it's gonna have these capabilities and all these bells and whistles that'll be important ones for us in the future. But we should have our bidders bid on the same thing, and it may be as simple as they put down, can't provide, sorry.
Can I just add one thing to that? That goes back to the importance of including myself and AgTech, because I wasn't involved in those conversations. AgTech was only involved because they've been very key in getting EIS moving forward and making sure that we did have compatibility. But I'm just tooting my own little horn to the fact of we have to be involved in order to avoid these steps. Everybody in this room knows that, but
Well,
I just need to say
and I
that.
appreciate
Keep
that,
running into these
Denise.
projects.
You're exactly right, and for this project, I know we need to move. But that just needs to be, I think, stated one more time. We're all in this together, but we have professionals that know this stuff, and you're becoming more and more familiar with all these things, plus you're our point of contact. But we want to do it, and we want to do it right the first time. Correct.
Well,
So.
Well, those were just quotes. That was a meeting several months ago. We know what we want, we know what we need. Why don't we reconvene the people, talk with legal counsel, reconvene, if we have to go out to bid, or if we can do 3 quotes or whatever, reconvene the people so everybody feels good about that we're out talking the same thing. You get it done right, and just do it and go forward.
See, Commissioner, you're where I was at in our discussions the last couple of weeks, including yesterday, was pretty much that simple thing. Okay, you know, we found out more information, we really think we need these capabilities in this type of line, et cetera. Do you want to bid on this? Because the basic thought is that those two specific providers probably can't provide that, and probably don't want to provide that. They're not in the business to provide it. I can't speak for them, but that would clean it up completely.
Yep. And I don't think that was a time restraint that will shut the project down that much longer. Or
No.
Denise can, AgTech and Paul, and if Paul's on, or if the sheriff, both of you can sit down, and we know we need this potential digital capability. We need this level of capacity, not here.
And we need something other than 50 lines that may or may not get infringed upon, as opposed to a secure, single connection at these speeds.
So, and I don't want to belabor things, where is dispatch at on their, are they where they'll go digital and everything?
Yes.
Are they already there?
They are. They've actually done some upgrades as of this year on their own equipment over there. It's kind of the same, similar to what we're doing over here, and now the two can't communicate because this bridge is broken.
Well, the whole thing, way back whenever I, as liaison, supported the 78,000 now was for efficiencies to get us away from those maybe standalone, even though this is somewhat standalone, but it works with our IT people. Everybody understands it.
Well, and Paul quickly, sorry, Commissioner, scooted over this field reference, and Paul and the sheriff and I had a chance to visit on it. I like that, you know, the inboard computer monitor system where as an event takes place, they don't have to, you know, the whole question about, well, why do all the deputies come into the courthouse? Well, that's why. And so this is gonna help with that, this whole process, and it's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, with the deputies having their laptops out there, they can do all the report
Well,
in the truck.
it's just going to bring us to where we need to be. Efficiency would be less hours it takes to get things done, people out on the road instead of sitting behind the desk.
Well, it's gonna catch us up with the fuels and fire management group with the Forest Service.
So, off the record.
Well, because we're videotaped, I'm not sure it's off the record.
It'll aid in so much more than just writing reports. I mean, they can conduct their investigation. They have the availability and the opportunity to look up whatever they need to look up, criminal history, a photo montage, warrant checks, or whatever they need to do right there without
Well, and I didn't mean to skip over that, Sheriff, because Paul prefaced, you know, his discussion by saying, you know, he wasn't gonna spend a lot of time on it, but I know when we had the conversation, it just sounded like, geez, this is the right thing to do.
So what we have before us now, after having that discussion, is that they need to move forward and get the right vendor with one more meeting, but they also have to know that we're gonna fund it, and that's what the struggle is, that funding gap. If you find, this is my opinion, if you do find a vendor, and that is the key to be able to get to the next part of the, getting it installed, I believe that that would be appropriate and fine if we all agreed that during budget time is going to replenish what is taken out of that $78,000 to be able to finish the project in this next budget year.
And I, go ahead, Commissioner.
To me, it's just logical.
Yeah.
Get it done.
So I would say, I agree with that, but you mentioned a couple other components that Paul talked about, the civil and other. Let's agree that those should be put into the
Absolutely.
part of
Yep.
that
Make
for
it-
budget time
make the
to
full
make it a
packet.
complete system.
Absolutely. So by consensus, go ahead and get done what needs to be done, and we will budget it. If it's going to go over that rough 31, say $32,000, then you'll have to come back before us on that. But if you're staying within that amount, by consensus, we'll adjust the budget in this next budget.
And
Is that good with the board?
Well, I would say if it goes over that 31,000, come back to us. Is there a space, you know, if it's 31.2?
I'm not going to give him an open checkbook now.
No, but we can put a cap.
The only concern that I'm having is these quotes were from December of last year.
Now then you're backing up,
Well,
Mr. Hall.
I just want the board to be aware that these, I didn't get these last week, and these quotes, this one expires in 14 days, one expired in 30 days, and we're well beyond that, so.
Yeah.
I think you said thank you guys, and I will try to stay within budget, and if it's going to go over, I'll come back and let you know.
That's exactly what I said.
That's what I did.
Okay,
Go for it.
What, does the board want me to come back and give you a,
We'll have to.
what vendor was selected through the process that you guys want from this point forward?
You'll meet with Actech and
Yeah.
the vendors. Once you get what everyone's going to be, we'll have to agree to the contract and sign the contract through the motion and approve that contract at that time, Paul.
Okay.
So you're just going to go through the process, which contract review board rules will apply at this. If it's a sole source, then there's a certain way, if it has to go out to RFP, another way that legal counsel will guide you on that.
yeah, I think your contacts would be legal counsel and Denise.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Don't move your desk, Sheriff. We don't want to lose that connection.
I didn't even get close to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you, Mr. Schulenberger, are you just into watch a meeting, or you have something for us?
Well, if I could possibly, I didn't realize you were having a meeting, but if I could possibly follow up with our previous HEAL discussions. But I don't know that it needs to be a meeting for now.
That's up to you. This is all publicized and everything. We could do an addition under public comment or anything if you'd like, or if you'd like to talk to us individually after. We'll have a break here in just a minute.
We're gonna take a 45-minute break, so.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so the only other thing before we take a recess is liaison updates. Real fast, last week I was in Kaiser up to Salem, went before the Oregon Transportation Commission, OTC, talking about the 18 to 21 STIP. And when we went through the STIP process, let's see, what does that stand for? Safety transport, I'll have to look at that. Anyways, last time there was about $19 million to be in our area that could be distributed amongst the 9 counties. We went through quite a process. It had to go down 150%. of projects, and then it got narrowed down to 100%. It took us several months through the area committee on transportation, and which ended up being a very small amount of money whenever it comes to highway projects and enhancement and fix-it projects. So that's what this meeting was based around. We went in several different counties, and area commissions chairs got to go from several different areas, and primarily probably 75 or 80% told OTC that we'd rather see them take the dollars and put it all towards fix-it. Instead of enhancement would mean putting out new miles of road or new interchange or something like that. And we believe that ODOT's in the preservation mode right now, the same as the counties is. We'd rather see most of that money go towards fix-it, maybe small buckets of money to leverage bigger projects, if there's forest highway projects or others, for ODOT and others. So that's the main part of what the meeting was about, was that we took, many of us that were county commissioners that were chairs of area committee on transportation, we all talked about the SRS dollars and how the county road systems are starting to fail and our dollars are going away. Judge McCabe, he stated, you know, they're down to $65,000 that they'll get this year if nothing's reauthorized or anything on the forest receipts, I believe. And he even said, I attempted to send a check back and tell him no thank you, because it's so small compared to what it really takes to operate. And so our voice was heard pretty strong at OTC, is that we've already been in crisis management, we're in a preservation mode, and when it comes to these federal dollars, ODOT's the next one. Don't count on getting the federal dollars. And we did take the liberty to let them know how important our county roads were to the whole system. I once again talked and promoted One Oregon, which I try to every time I go before OTC, so that people don't forget about the east side. And through the STIP process, low volume roads, no dollars can be leveraged in our highways here or low volume, so I took the opportunity to let them know, please don't forget about our low volume roads in Lake County. Was able to do lunch, talk to every OTC member, and promote our roads in Lake and Klamath County both. So it was a good meeting, up and back in just a little over 24 hours, about 30 hours. It was a fast trip, but well worth it. Other liaison update, Director Abrams from Department of State Lands will be here this evening. Going to dinner with her this evening, and both of you are welcome to come if you'd like. I'll talk to each one of you individually. Tomorrow I will tour the lakes with her, and tomorrow afternoon she'll stop in and they'll get some time with you. She'll be traveling back to Portland on Thursday.
Where are you going to find a dry lake bed?
There's plenty of dry lake beds, but it'll give a great opportunity to promote that we like to keep our public access and our public lands open to the public. It's not you can't help but have discussion about artifacts and those things, but I want to try to keep it focused on public lands and access, and even whenever there's low water, how do we keep the best access we can for our public out there. So, and next week on Monday, Red Rock will be having a community meeting at 6 o'clock at the Senior Center. I haven't talked to Mr. Mananak to find out, or Mary, either one, what kind of advertisement they're doing or anything, but I figured this is great doing it, so at least get that out.
Also, with our neighbor to the south, there's been some scuttlebutt spread down there about dangers of fuel, and so there's a growing concern. And Todd Andrews and Ray Sims, I believe, have extended the invitation to MoDOT to come to this meeting.
That'd be great. Right story. I've worked with some of the supervisors down there, but it's been several months since we had the discussion. Met with 3 of them here several months ago. They were all very excited about the biomass at that time. I have it on my list to try to give one of them a call today and to follow up on that. With that.
Well, and I think Paul DeDillies from the railroad intends to be there. He was invited by Red Rock, since it's a Red Rock meeting. As I mentioned, I didn't get a chance to talk to Commissioner Kestner. I talked to our building official yesterday, and I think he's gonna stay. We're gonna go to dinner. He's just gonna attend. So if there's some question that comes up around anything to do with the county part of it related to that, he'll be there, so.
That's all I have for
On the
ladies.
acronym OTC, you know what that stands for?
Oregon Transportation Commission, I did. It's STIPS, State Transportation Improvement Plan is what the state STIPS stands for.
We tend to use a lot of acronyms, so I want to make sure you and the public understand what we're talking about.
So.
Anybody else?
I just, really briefly, I attended two different meetings, one on Tuesday last week. Oregon State sponsored it over at the Running Y on the reforestation efforts on the Fremont Wainema. It was well attended, and we'll be getting the minutes out of that, and I'll be passing those along to the two of you when we get them on the tremendous amount of discussion we had on what we can do here among all of our governments and privates. We had the private partnership with the Livingstons. They were there in that group that has been in existence for over 12 years that has been promoting forest health. But it was a good meeting. Then on Thursday I attended the marijuana forum, or it's the OLCC. One of the OLCC's meetings throughout the state is held up at OIT. I guess my best recommendation on there is, Rob continued as the chair of OLCC, Rob Patridge, the district attorney from Klamath County, continued to reference the website, and I think that's going to be a good bookmark site for us to keep up, because there's so much unknown right now as they move forward with the rule writing and everything else. What they've been finding in most of the sessions they put on 6, I think that was the 6th one out of 12. Now they're going to have 13. There's one additional Portland. But most of the attendees are growers or sellers, soon to be sellers. I think you used the term 70 to 80% of those in attendance. Just a real quick note, as I think both of you know, the National Association of Counties Legislative Conferences.
Well, back on the marijuana, danger of marijuana, Commissioner.
Yeah, right.
I'm still, whenever it comes, was there any discussion, I know it's probably based around all the state stuff, but how do we deal with marijuana in the workforce? And let's say somebody gets in an accident, one of the county explorers, and they do the test, and they, after it's legal, and it shows that it smoked it, but they say they smoked it 5 days earlier. Is there any discussion about that?
Somewhat in general, just for law enforcement, yet to be decided, yet to be known. I mean, there is very little that is known factually.
Very little put together as far as how it's going to be implemented and addressed as a concern.
Well, we ask our CIS, we ask our insurance about it, but we're 4 months away from it being legal in Oregon, are correct?
I think that, well, yeah, but the time frame, and I have to apologize because Rob was talking about a much longer time frame before things could actually unfold, and it has to do with the rule writing and legislative approval, et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't quite as cut and dried as I think we think. I think another issue for us to consider looking at sooner than later is the moratorium on medical, because in there was discussion, or the questions came up, is the legislature, is the OLCC going to recommend to the legislature that they marry those two together, the medical and the recreational, and there were people that spoke to that too. Quite honestly, I think you all know how I feel about, on a personal side, this whole thing. It was tough to sit in there and listen to some of the stuff being talked about.
I imagine.
On the use of marijuana and a traffic accident on the job. That'll be handled the same as with alcohol, except they don't have the finesse to test and identify where the incapacity level is.
Yeah, that's my question is, you can be tested 5-10 days later and show that you smoked weed, but does that mean you're under the influence? Where alcohol, there is a blood count that shows you if you're under the influence at the time. And so
that aspect yet to be flushed out, as Commissioner Shannon says.
And you was going to get NACO, you said?
Well, just really quickly, the legislative conference is wrapping up, I think, today, and the feedback I've been getting, I've talked to 2 or 3 of the commissioners or judges prior to, they'd asked for anything that I thought needed to be brought forward specific to PILT and SRS, and that saga's ongoing. There was a request out from Chris Markland, our associate legislative director for public lands. We've already submitted our PILT request letter to both the committee and the members of Congress. Denise did that a few months back. It's a very similar request for commissioners that were there. The same kind of feedback is coming forward from Congress as counties show us where the money's at. And I don't know about you two, but I just do a slow burn because we don't ask them to come to our budget meetings and show us where our financial obligations, for using that term, where the money is in the county budget before we actually budget for our responsibilities on our own.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Heard it for too many years.
Yeah, I mean, that just keeps, you know, and quite honestly, you know, they're sitting there now, and that was some of the feedback I've gotten. Homeland Defense runs out of money Friday. That's not, you know, germane to the SRS discussion, but it is when you look at who's in line first to get either a CR applied to their budget or a full funding. Because they're out of money.
CR is continuing resolution.
So,
Commissioner Kestner.
I'll touch a little bit on the Parks and Rec master plan that we hold workshops. We had one Sunday up in Christmas Valley. Attended that mainly, we'll want to show support, but also there's a lot of misinformation going around, especially in the northern part of the county. We have Christmas Valley Parks and Rec, and for your information, it seems as though they have recently in the process of changing the names from Christmas Valley Park and Rec to North Lake Park and Rec. They have a desire to expand their taxing district. It's only very small at this time. The misinformation that was being spread was that our master plan was intended to facilitate the Christmas Valley Park and Rec expansion, which had a lot of folks kind of disturbed a little bit about increasing their taxes. It is not. So I've tried to quell that misinformation that our master plan has nothing whatsoever to do with the Christmas Valley Park and Rec. They're their own governing body, their own, they make input to our master plan, but we have no legal authority to do anything with Parks and Rec. They're their own governing body.
That's one reason why I said get them involved early and everything. So.
Yeah, we got Glenda way involved early, but still individual that, we haven't, not the last, we had a meeting yesterday here in the Memorial Hall, 5:30 on the Parks and Rec. Both the Christmas Valley was well attended as well as the one here. They're having a little meeting today. They have another workshop in Paisley on their way back to Eugene this afternoon, 1:30 I believe, or 2 o'clock. And stress heavily because we can only have workshops in a few, you know, the major communities. but I stress very heavily that they engage to the best of their ability other communities such as Silver Lake, Summer Lake, Plus, whatever. Anyway, that's ongoing. ATV, I'll back up a little bit. Last Thursday, we reconvened our economic development, County Economic Development Advisory Committee. We met out at the interagency. It was well attended by a handful of very interested folks, like Rob Thurton, Todd Humphreys, Charlie Tway, Richie, and others. Had lots of very good discussion. The meeting went much longer than anticipated, but what I'm getting to is Rob Thurton brought up the ATV ordinances, not ordinance, the legislative bills addressing the ATV. There's a House Bill 2267 and a Senate Bill 192. I didn't catch it at the time, but Gail Ridgett has another bill. But there's a big spread between them all. 2266 says open highways. My first thought was, well, if a moped can be on a highway, what's the big deal? But if you get in congested areas or high speed, but if you read through the bill as on approval of the road authority, and then it goes down and say, with the speed limits 35 or less. Bill, but back on 2266, they had a lot of stipulations on outfitting the ATVs, license plate lights, and all the bells and whistles. I talked to Richie and Rob Thurton about that it would be kind of discouraging to out-of-state ATVs that doesn't require all the same stuff. But I sent an email. They had House hearing and Senate hearing yesterday, and talking with Mary Stern of AOC, they needed to get our comments in last Friday. By the time I composed everything, both of you guys was out of the office, so I sent it only as one commissioner for emphasis, as opposed to all three, because I didn't have time to touch base with you. But in my comment back, I did not oppose the highway because of those two conditions, road authority and 35, but emphasized very heavily on that 100 feet away from intersections. That is the key interest of our constituents. Right now, the law states that ATVs and snowmobiles cannot cross a state highway at an intersection. They have to go 100 feet away. Well, in town here, you had to get to an alley to cross to an opposing alley, and that's more dangerous than ATV crossing at a recognized intersection. And also, all of our alleys in Lakeview runs north-south, so there's no way to get across this north-south part of a main drag through here, because there's no alleys that goes across. So they had to go to somebody's yard and jump across. But anyway, also out on the county, if we have a county road crossing a state highway, the ATV would have to go to the ditch line for 100 feet across, go back on the opposing ditch line. It's rather absurd. But anyway, my comment was, we don't, as I submitted as myself, don't have a major concern about the highway use because of those two constraints, but it's not really one of the things that we really emphasized. We really emphasized the 100-foot intersection scenario, and also they need to study the stipulation of all the bells and whistles that are going on. I talked to Rob this morning. He talked to gentleman Lane, Sean Lane, and both the House bill and the Senate bill was well discussed yesterday in hearings, and he felt that most of the folks on the legislative side took the 100-foot very serious as far as needing to be addressed. And the highway use may not fly, but
they made hearings, that's the first step.
Yep. And we also emphasized the economic factor that ATV can bring in. There's
didn't know that.
Yeah, a significant person of our community.
And he was on road advisory for a lot of years.
I'll be going to the governor's broadband advisory on Thursday. They got two topics that really caught my attention. I've been kind of dragged in on that committee somewhat. One is emergency management services, and we were going with broadband on that. It ties right into our discussion earlier. The other topic is getting broadband to schools, another topic that Ginger and I, and Fred Smith, prior to that, been working for over a year plus, trying to. So I'll be gone that on the way back. Honda, the environmental group, Oregon Natural Desert, contacted me and they want to keep the Oregon Desert Trail alive, which I knew they would. So I'm going to stay at the table with them on that. They want to have community meetings. And if you have any suggestions, catch me before I leave on that. But also on the Lakeview working group between the Lakeview Racing Association and Honda, that's been going on for a year or so. It's beginning to run into some roadblocks. There's a lot of stuff that happens with the steam and roads over there that people are getting a little gun shy on. So hopefully I can touch base with Nick Strader or one of the other Walden's group, find out what their concerns are. So I'll be back on Friday.
Okay. That will recess until 11 o'clock.
Hi, Rick.
Good morning.